Today we have the cassette player and equalizer in shop. These are commonly seen in the Chevrolet crew cab pickup trucks, the regular pickup trucks, the Suburban, the GMC pickup trucks, and Yukon as well, and some old Oldsmobile. The problem that's in the shop for today is the equalizer and backlighting seems to be intermittent at night. And now we've seen several problems with these. If you have the equalizer is working just the two outside bands on both sides, I would be looking at the CDM for being the problem. This equipment is specific to the vehicle. CDMs and the control head that are up in the dash, I have removal instructions for on the website, but take a look at the CDM down under the dash. That can cause EQ problems, not having the right one. Like I say, these systems are matched. So today I'm going to show you how to repair the backlighting being intermittent for everything. And of course we're going to need a 1/4 inch drive here. And there are 3 screws that hold the top cover on. And like I mentioned earlier, if you need help with removing any of this equipment from the vehicle, see our website, carstereohelp.com. That will help you get to these stages. So we've got the 3 screws that hold the top cover on. There are several tricks to taking this apart and putting it back together. I'm going to point out the first right now. Now along the back edge of the cover there is a little notch here that goes into the cover coming up, so this will not lift straight up. The trick is, because there's a couple notches in the front going down into the front face, is to pull this cover back just a tiny bit so you can lift it up and then up and out of the way. Now next we're going to take this cable that flops all over the bench and messes up your pile of screws or your screw pattern you got going on the side of the bench here. We're going to take this off right away. There's 1 screw here on the back, and we're going to set this one over here for this specifically. Now it comes up and goes directly into the circuit board here. Now this circuit board, we're going to try and grab the wires way down close because this connector will pull right up out. If we wiggle it a little bit, there we go. Now this comes up and out. Now the good thing about taking the connectors apart on this is you cannot make a mistake in putting them back together if you pay attention. Most of the connectors, they are all different. This one will only fit back here. It won't fit in the other spots. Too many wire connectors to fit on the connector. And then once this plugs into the main board coming into the unit, it also has another connector that comes out and goes over to the cassette unit. We also have 2 that come up and go up to the display and backlighting for the display out of this board as well. So this is the board we're going to take off. Now we're going to start with grasping the wires again on these connectors towards the front and just hold the board a little bit to give it some pressure so you're not pulling to crack the board, and this will come right back nice and easily. We'll take that one out of the way. I may have bent 1 pin there. We'll check that when we put that back on. We're trying to pull these straight off. Now, here is one of the other tricks about taking this apart. If you look real closely, these connectors do look pretty much the same, but they are different lengths. And there happens to be a slight pause right between the pins here for the 2 connectors to go back and mate to. So they will mate up to the pins. Watch where this small opening is so they can go back in and right into place. Now we've got these back out of the way. We're going to take the wire harness that comes from the board here up over to the cassette, this one off as well. Now it's hard soldered to this board down below here, so we have to take the connector out here. I'm going to wiggle these connectors up and hopefully it'll wires back and forth, and there it comes right out. Now I can put them all up in face. You can see how the connectors are all different. They won't go in separate places, and this connector of course is never going to plug back into the same board. That's what this one is for. So hopefully that takes care of all the connectors. Now we're going to move on to getting this board out, because this is the problem here. And we are going to start with removing the face plate because it's in the way and we don't want to bend any pins, and we need to get a screw out that's down below all these pins here. So we have one screw on each side of the faceplate here. I'm going to set this in aside. Then we're going to turn this upside down because there are also two here in the bottom we need to remove. And there's one, two. Now I got all four of these together here. Now we're going to come back here and we're going to take a small flathead screwdriver and just go in under the edge, just push a little bit. Now what we have is these clips that's here need to be lifted up a little bit to release it. We're going to start that over here and try and lift this one up a little bit and see if we can get that face to come off nice, straight, and easily. We didn't bend any of the pins or anything like that. Now another one of the tricks to the repair this is this cassette door right here. When it comes time to push this face back on, you have to place your finger in through the cassette opening to place this on. If you don't, then these long tabs at the bottom of the cassette door get jammed behind the circuit board here in the front, and you can't get the face on properly or smoothly. So we're going to set this face to the side now. Move on to the next board, the one we've been trying to get out of this since the beginning here. And there are two screws down on the circuit board. The front one was underneath all the pins that came in the front. And these are coarse thread if you weren't paying attention, the two that went into the metal here. And we have two more on the side that deal with a heat sink and a transistor. And we're going to turn around to this side and remove these screws as well. Now this should free this up. And we should be able to remove the board. And this is going to... I've seen another trick here where they've used a double-sided sticky tape along the side of the case. It can be hard to remove the face as well because it can be stuck to it when it comes to trying to pry the face off, but be gentle, it'll release and go let you take the face out of the way. Now we also have a connector here in the back. This connector will lift right up out of a guide here that it's in. It's held in place when the cover comes back on. And we're going to lift that up out of the way, and the board should lift right out. But we have this double-sided sticky tape I mentioned, so we're going to go in behind the metal heat sink here and try and pry a little bit, just a little bit. We don't want to bend any of this, and see if we can get the tape to release. I can hear it. Move a little bit more forward. There we go. Now we're going to lift this board up. Now we're going to take this board, and it sits in the radio like this here. We're going to move it off to the side here. We're going to turn this over, and what we're looking at for repair this, because it's intermittent is always a fun problem. You can always, it's hard to troubleshoot. Anyways, what we have is, I had mentioned taking all these connectors apart. We want to check where these connectors all solder into the board. And we have one set that solders in here. This went to the front face. We have the smaller one that also went to the front face. They both solder into the circuit board, come up down here. And then we have the two connectors, the one that came in from outside the radio and the one that goes to the cassette deck. Now we want to take a close look at these. And here we are. We have the two rows across the top of the board where the connectors come in, the two along the side here. Now we're going to get the magnifying glass out here and take a real close look at this. And with the magnifying glass, I can see way down here, specifically on the two pins on the connector here, two connectors on the bottom right corner, the connector on the left, the second and third pin up, I can see what looks like poor solder. I've seen some good videos out there on the internet that deal with recognizing poor solder. This is an intermittent problem that I can see right away. Okay, I've resoldered the connections down the side of the board. I'm glad I did that. There was quite a few poor solder connections here once I got the real magnifying glasses on. These are very close connections. Be sure you don't put a solder bridge in across those when resoldering any of the connectors. Also, I took care of the two connectors at the top, resoldered these. There was signs of poor solder, but not as bad on the other connectors. I also had another ugly poor solder joint was this leg of the one of the two power resistors over here. I resoldered all the legs on those along with the legs on the transistor here. This should take care of the intermittent display problem. If you have other problems, see the website carstereohelp.com for the other do-it-yourself repairs I have there. If yours isn't mentioned or you need other questions, give us an email. This should take care of this one. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, and thank you for watching.